concluded on the revisional powers of the High Court, isn't it? More or less, the chapter relating to appeals, the original appeals under section 96, then second appeal under section 100, then appeal from order under 104 and order 43 we were discussed, then appeals, then as well as the reference, review and revisional powers of the High Court we had discussed. Now today's topic will be different because उससे पहले हम लोग we had concluded on the point of the trial was concluded, isn't it? We had concluded the trial, how examination chief, cross examination. Then after the conclusion of the trial, the learned judge passes an order, judgment and decree. That is followed. Then that we'll see that here. That we'll discuss today, judgment and decrees, then followed by execution. So I will take up the topic today on how judgments and decree, that is provisions of section 33 and order 20 CPC, and the various decrees which are passed, which students and young lawyers will come to know the various types of decrees which are mentioned in the CPC, which are mentioned in Transfer of Property Act, which are mentioned in Specific Relief Act, mentioned in the law of inheritance of various parties. They are clubbed together, and we'll get yourself today familiar with those decrees. Okay. Now tell me kindly when to start.
Yes, sir, you may start.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have so far discussed the entire provisions in the CPC relating to the conducting of the trial, that is after the filing of the plain, written statement, discovery, inspection, interrogatories under the provisions of order 11, order 13 CPC, then admission under order 12, then framing of the issues under order 14, then submitting the list of witnesses under order 16, summoning then examination chief under order 18, then the cross-examination under the provisions of under the Evidence Act section 137, re-examination, we all discussed that. Now, after the conclusion, these all trial, after the conducting completion of the trial, the learned judge, the presiding judge, the trial court judge, before whom the arguments were advanced, he will give opportunity to each party to the counsel to argue the cases. Then they may orally submit the arguments under order 18. They are also given the liberty to file written arguments in the matter. Then after completing the written arguments and rejoinder, if any, the person who right to begin first is given under order, and we discussed. Now, after the conclusion of the trial, the learned judge posts the matter for passing a judgment and decree. Now, section 33 of the CPC says that here, after the entire case is over, court will pronounce judgment, and judgment shall follow a decree. Kindly open Mansi, if you don't mind, section 33. That student should get familiar with it. Yeah, section 33 tells you, after the case has been heard, the court shall pronounce judgment, and judgment shall follow a decree, isn't it? That is the case. Now, under the scheme of, now this is in conformity with the provisions of order 20. If you can open kindly order 20, I'll tell you. Under the provisions of order 20, which deals with decrees. Judgment and decrees. This order 20 to be read with section 33. Now, under this section, there is a mandate that after the completion of the argument, judgment should be pronounced within 30 days. That is the first date, then not beyond 60 days. The civil court judges are directed that they should deliver the judgment not beyond 60 days. That is the second line in order 20 rule 1, when you kindly see that here, maximum time. Then you know what is the definition of a decree, what decree passes. Section 2 of the CPC had defined to you a decree to be an adjudication which conclusively determines the right title interest of the parties, isn't it? It also includes a preliminary decree, and also that is under order a preliminary decree, and rejection of a plaint under order 7 rule 11, and determination of questions under section 144, that is a restitution, which I will take a separate topic because it's a very lengthy topic, and does not include decree does not include appealable orders which are passed under order 43 or section 104, which we learned here. And also decree doesn't include the order of dismissal for default, which is normally passed by the court under order 9 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Bear in mind, these are the things. Then the next point is, these are the decrees passed by the court. Then what does the decree must contain? Now, please note that you will find out under the provisions of order 20 rule 6, the contents of decree. Mansi, kindly please take out order 20 rule 6 CPC for contents of the decree. That is an important provision. I'm taking through the contents of the decree. The decree must be in conformity, must be conformity with the judgment. I mean, it should agree with the judgment. That is the mandate. So there cannot be discrepancy between the judgment given by the learned judge and a decree which has been drawn up by the court. Now, I'll take you through later on the provisions of Appendix D, where the various decrees are shown. Before that, I will run through the provisions of Order 20 Rule C, which says that here what the decree must contain. It shall, number 1, it should contain the number of the suit number. Each court at the time of the filing of the suit in the city of Bombay, initially they give a lodging number. Lodging number is given for removal of objection. After the removal of objection, they will give you that the proper court fees has been paid, that the plaintiff has removed all the objection. A proper suit number is given. That suit number must be disclosed in the decree for identification. Then number 2, name and description of the parties must be given with their addresses. That is also important here. Then the decree further should contain the particulars of the claim. See that here, it is not only the plaint which should contain the claim, the cause of action and claim. The decree must contain what exactly are the claim in the plaint, namely whether it is a money claim, it's a recovery of the property, it is for mean profit, is it for specific performance, is it dissolution of partnership or rectification of document, and various type of suits. What are the cause of action? The particulars must be mentioned in the decree briefly by the learned judge. Then it should also mention, it said that here, in the case of specific under the Specific Relief Act, a decree is passed by the court for specific performance or whether for damages, they should also be mentioned. Then there is a suit for perpetual injunction, mandatory order of injunction under the provisions of Specific Relief Act, section 36, 37, 38, you know very well. The decree should also mention among them what is the amount of cost. Amount of cost that the court, when awarding a decree, when passing a suit, it dismissed or decreed, they should also mention what are the cost it is going to grant. That is mentioned in section 34 of the CPC, 34 and 35 on order 20A. Order 20A, they deal with the cost. When you see section 34, please open 34, Mansi. The court must mention 34 ke andar, see interest. It mentioned where in so far as the decree for payment of money is concerned. It uses the word decree for mention. It mention the interest. What is the calculating the interest? 35 ke andar, how much awarding the cost. It should contain. Now, then we'll briefly run through the provisions of in the CPC before we take the various decrees. And in Appendix 20, in Appendix D or Appendix D to the CPC, there are certain formats that I will take through. Pansi, if you can kindly open Appendix D, I'll just explain to the students what is Appendix D. There are around Appendix D contains 24 forms, I think, total. If I'm not mistaken, form number 24. There are total 20 forms. Appendix D, let us see that. These are the degrees normally goes past. First is a decree in the original suit, that is under Order 20, Rule 6 and 7. It says that I right now mentioned to you Order 6 and 7. The particulars must be mentioned, what it must contain. That the suit on this day for final disposal in the presence of so and so, the defendant is ordered and decreed that a sum of rupees so and so on account of the cost. Now, this is the money decree which is passed by the court under the provisions of Order 20, Rule 1. Money decree. That is a money decree. If you can open kindly Order 20, Rule 1, Order 21, sorry, Order 21, Order 21, Rule 1 deals with the execution of a decree. Yes, modes of paying money under decree, under Order 21, Rule 1. Yeah, the next decree, please come back to Appendix D, form number 2, simple money decree. Now, that is a simple money decree. Then again, this is in conformity with the provisions of Order 21, Rule 1, which we ran right now, and Section 34. 34 is a cost to be mentioned in the court, that the court shall on the day final disposal in the presence of so and so directed to pay so and so money, do realization sum of rupees so and so. So the learned just signing the decree, giving particulars, and item number 1 to 7 are the costs. See that name, stamp of the plane, power of attorney, exhibits, pleaders' fees, subsistence of witnesses, commissioner's fees, service process fees, stamp power, so and so, pleaders' fees, subsistence. There are 7 items which are mentioned in the nature of cost, which is normally granted. Then kindly see item number 3, that is form number 3, preliminary decree for foreclosure. That is under Order 34, Rule 2. You know that a suit for foreclosure is filed by a mortgagee against the mortgager. These are suits under the provisions of Transfer of Property Act. Suit for recovery are dealt under Order 34. Now, in a suit for foreclosure, when a period of the mortgage is completed, 30 years time, 40 years, whatever duration time, then the mortgagee tells the mortgager, please I am returning back your property if you pay back my money with interest. And he doesn't pay. The mortgagor, the owner of the property he was mortgaged, he is unable to return the mortgage money. Then in which event, the remedy available to the mortgagee is to file a suit for foreclosure and sale. Now the decree passed is under Order 34, Rule 2. The court passes a preliminary decree initially, that you know that we discuss all the time. Then in the decree, the court mentions the entire amount calculated. The decree is sent for calculation to the commissioner for taking account. Then after that, a final decree is passed, drawn up by the court. Then Then item number 3A, preliminary decree in foreclosure, again repeated. Then form number 4 is decree for foreclosure again. Form number 3, 5, even form number 5 also, foreclosure suit, preliminary decree suit. Then item number 5A, preliminary decree for sale. Now, when you know that first a decree is passed, preliminary decree in mortgages, then a person unable to pay the amount, final decree for sale is passed. That is item number 7 8 7A 8 to B, they're all dealing with mortgage suits. Please note that there are more or less similar type of item number 10A 11. Item number 11C, decree for sale. That is a various amendment. These are the various decrees which are passed for mortgages, for foreclosure, both preliminary as well as final degree. Now, item number 12 you see kindly is a different degree. Decree for rectification of the instrument. Now, in this, the Honorable Court passes a decree under the provisions of Specific Relief Act. You know, suit for rectification of instrument is Section 26. Can you kindly, once you open Section 26 of the Specific Relief Act? Yeah. Now, when instrument may be rectified, rectification of instrument, when though fraud or mutual mistake of parties or contract, other instrument or writing, association, so and so. So these are this is called a substantive provision for obtaining substantive relief. And the substantive relief is obtained by filing a suit in the civil court and seeking a decree that this honorable court be pleased to pass a decree for rectification of the instrument. He was your agent. He was in possession of your power of